Hello, my lovely friends. It's time again for a story. This is from Auroragon Gal, from our subreddit. My subreddit. Why did I say our subreddit? I guess it is. We're a family. Anyway, this is from Oregon Gal, and this is the Breakup from Hell. Oh boy. Hello, Moonhorse. Hello. And the Moon Cult. I love that you guys have latched onto that. We make Moon Cult t-shirts now, I'm just saying. Plug. Anyway, I figured it was time to talk about this. And, well, it isn't very funny, to be honest. So, while I listen to Wayward Son on repeat, I'll tell my story of a probable nice guy I dated and broke up with. Though be warned, this all happened between 2016/2017, so I'll have to rely on my crappy memory while I write this out. Oh, the bygone years. I guess I should start with some backstory about this ex-boyfriend of mine. We met on an RP forum shortly after I broke up with a different boyfriend that I'm still friends with to this day. This ex, who I'll refer to as D2. Now D2, I would learn, was in the military and was an excellent RPer as well. Nice to me when we got to know each other. I admit, I fell for him, and after almost a year of being single, he and I just kind of ended up together, I guess. I don't really know how it happened, to be honest. In the year that followed, he and I would chat and RP over Skype, and while he was amazing, I didn't know what he was cooking up from the forum until it was too late. That something, which I still feel terrible about, was Omega, an OC who was just pretty much meant to God mode. I don't know how it got approved, but Omega was basically able to counteract all attempts to defeat it, from magic dampening fields to being indestructible. Omega ended up destroying a hub world in the forum, and I couldn't really do anything about this, since I was the one who was dating the player, and didn't trust my judgment to be impartial, like a good mod should be. Then, after or during, this all happened in 2016-2017, remember, the Omega incident, D2 joined another forum, where he met another RPer, which we'll call Positive Polly, mainly because I forgot her actual username. Now, Positive Polly was nice, but I think leaned into the toxic positivity, since she and D2 got close. Real close. Looking back, I wouldn't be surprised if Positive Polly had something to do with a later event that I'll get to, but in any case, during the time that he knew her, he cut off his friend Pinky. I still don't know what happened between the two of them, to be honest, but D2 and Pinky were busted apart, and Positive Polly moved in to fill that void. Then, around Valentine's Day of 2017, D2 and I met in person for our first date, and also decided to kill two birds with one stone by meeting each other's families. He met my parents, I met his mom and sister. It was a good date in and of itself. We had lunch at a place called Huey's, excellent burgers, and we saw the Lego Batman movie. But in preparation for the date, there was this red flag. See, while I was coordinating with my parents and D2, a conflict of interest came up and the date had to be rescheduled. He told me to make my parents promise that it wouldn't happen again, but my dad told him that it wasn't happening because that's a controlling behavior. So yes, this is where the nice part of the nice guy starts to come in. Things also started falling apart after the date, as when we planned the next time to meet up was around my birthday. He also wanted me to stay with him for a week, and as I still lived with my family at the time, I forwarded this info to them over text and never got a response, so that week was not going to happen, which was kind of a good thing in hindsight because I honestly was unsure about what might have happened if I did go. Then came the day when D2 asked me about an open relationship, something I told him after some thought was not a thing I was comfortable with since I felt like I'd become the third wheel in my own relationship if that happened. After I told him that, he called me crying, saying that it was time for a break, which I also felt was needed. Thinking back to Positive Polly for a moment, I think D2 and her were together in secret at this point. Hindsight is wonderful sometimes, I guess. Well, I guess this is enough background, and so it's time to talk about the breakup itself. It started with us planning our next date. I was thinking about how my twin brother was, well, he wasn't happy I was in a relationship while he remained single. So I suggested to D2 that maybe since this date was going to be around my birthday, that he give my brother a gift to show that he's a good person. That may have been the wrong move, as he accused me of being a gold digger, which I wasn't trying to be. And while I told him that I was just thinking of my family, he accused my family of getting in between us, which they weren't. I could be wrong on that, but either way, I just kind of lost it and went into what I call Zen bitch mode. Now, what is that? Well, it's what I call a state of mind of being so angry that you're calm and cold. I know this mode well. It was in this state that I tore him a new one. I told him I knew about how him and Positive Polly and other low blows, for example, compared him to his deadbeat dad who cheated on his mother, but never once did I say I wanted him to do what he did later. When I told him that we were done, I thought that was it. We were over, and we'd never have to speak to each other again. Oh, how I was wrong. See, a few hours later, D2's ex-friend Pinky DM'd me over Discord and asked if I knew his address. And I told him I didn't. Why? It turns out D2 was trying to off himself, and while Pinky was trying to get the address to give to the police, I had to go onto Skype and talk him down with a distraction. Together we saved him, and to this day I don't know what he was thinking or what he was planning. Was it just to get back at me? Was it some messed up power move to get me back? I don't know. Honestly, I don't want to know. All I know is that when I learned that D2 wanted to see me in the hospital, I noped out and haven't spoken to him since. Oh, and Positive Polly told me not to contact her again after the incident, which honestly, I don't want to. So that's my story. I don't know if D2 is still around or with anyone, and if he is, I feel sorry for whoever he's with at the moment. But the sad part, lately I've been wanting to talk to him. As frightening as that is, I mean, I know I screwed up in this relationship, but still, part of me wants closure, while the rest of me wants to avoid talking to him ever again. I don't want to go back into that pit. So thank you for reading about this breakup from hell. I feel a bit better now that I know I got my side of the story out there, and sorry if it was a little rambly. I hope everyone has a better chance at love than I did in this story. Well, first, let's address the most important part of this. You're wanting to speak to this guy again. Considering how toxic and really shitty he was, this very controlling, manipulative behavior, I would not. I would advise against that pretty heavily, mainly because people like that, especially if that's still their mentality, they will try to get everything to kind of go back to the way it was. That's how people like that think. I understand the need for closure, but closure does not necessarily come from talking to this person again. I have a few pretty terrible exes of my own. It's honestly some stories that could probably branch into Legbeard territory, but I don't really like to tell those stories, especially on a public forum like this, mainly because it's in the past and I want to let that go. But I can tell you this. Actively seeking out those people and attempting to talk to them again does not help with closure. It gets you wrapped up in yet another horrible situation in which you have to fight to get out from. People like that are a bit like a tar pit. The minute you have any kind of contact with them, they start dragging you down and sucking you in. You have to fight to get out of it. And if you get out of it the first time, getting out of it multiple times is really, really difficult. It gets harder every single time. A lot of the time, whenever my exes would split up with me, they would attempt to come back, try to do the same thing, this whole, I miss what we had, and I think we should still be together. But I have to remind myself that if what we had was so great, if our relationship was so wonderful, and that everything, worked out fantastically, why did we split up in the first place? Why did the relationship end in the first place? If it was working so well and everything was so perfect and happy, how did we get to this point? And the answer is that obviously it wasn't. And that's a thing that I've kind of learned a lot with age. You know, being a dumb kid and in my early 20s, you make a lot of mistakes. But it's one of those things that you kind of get when you get older. You start to realize, or, you know, sometimes you start to realize that this is not the way to find closure. I went through some pretty horrible things as well, not just bad relationships, but stuff when I was younger. I had a relatively... It was kind of an abusive childhood, yeah. It was pretty bad. I had a horrible stepmother. I know, cliche, but still, I have found the closure from that is being as far away from that as I possibly can be. By putting all of that far away. I don't ever want to speak to her again. I don't ever want to see her again. I don't ever want to have contact again. There is nothing that she could possibly say to me that would ever make up for what happened. So I have absolutely no qualms about just never speaking to her again. Ever. And I honestly think, considering how this breakup has affected you, is probably the way you should go as well. I understand that sometimes you think back on the things and you're like, you know, I want to talk to this person, but the thing you have to remember, more than anything, is what you are remembering are only the good times. We tend to focus, as people, on the good times. And I've had those moments with my exes. I've had those moments where it's like, you know, our relationship wasn't so bad, but it's because you focus on the good times. You have to remember the reason why you split up in the first place. Again, if everything was perfect, if everything was peachy and happy, you wouldn't have broken up. But you did. Which means it's not. So, I hope that helps. That guy does kind of sound like a dick, though, I will say that. And, oh my god, does anybody else remember internet roleplay? What was I, like fucking 13 last time I had anything to do with that? It's great. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have your own story that you'd like for me to have a look at and maybe get read on this channel, send it to my subreddit, r/Moonhorse stories. I see it, you know, because I check it every day. I said that in a really weird way, but you got what I mean. Anyway, if you'd like to support this channel, and I really hope you do, I have a Ko-Fi, and I have a merch store. And there's a lot of weird sales that go on in my merch store. I should actually check that again. I think there's actually one probably going on now. I don't know. Either way, if you want to find out about sales, you should follow my Twitter. I don't really advertise my Twitter because I don't really do anything on there but shitpost. But if you really want to see me do stupid things, like say nonsense, you can do that. And every Saturday there is a live stream if you'd like to watch weird shit with me or talk about nonsense or play stupid video games. I lead such an interesting life, I know. But thank you for being here. Make sure you do the YouTube thing of like, comment, subscribe. I don't know, it's YouTube. I can't begin to understand how it works. But one of those things is probably helping. Maybe. I don't know. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay. Goodbye.